I said great morning, a few of you said morning, some said good morning. All of you together, great morning.
Great morning.
Dr. Veena, respected head of the Department of Psychology at the Women's Christian College, other members on the panel, distinguished guests on and off the dais, members of the faculty of the college, and a large number of students from various institutions who have registered for this one-day seminar, which combines two burning topics, mental health and suicide, which are intimately connected. Imagine every year on this globe, the entire population of a city like Coimbatore suddenly end their lives, and the whole city becomes a ghost city. 800,000 people on this planet decide to end their lives every year, and many times that number attempt it and wait for another turn to try to end their lives. Suicide rates have increased. And it's an irony that despite the progress of mankind in technology, in understanding of society, in understanding the mind, the progress of mankind in terms of physical health, there has been a decline in terms of mental health. India itself contributes nearly 17% of the world's population of suicides. And more women than men commit suicide worldwide as well as in India. When we did a survey of why people commit crimes by covering prisoners, both those who were convicted as well as those who were facing trial, in all the prisons in Tamil Nadu, some 19 prisons, we discovered the fact. In fact, I did it with your Professor Dr. Usha Rani a few years ago. And this was the revelation that 80% of those who were inmates of our prisons in Tamil Nadu said that they committed these crimes due to passion. Well, it's a different kind of passion from what Edison spoke about. Anger, could be jealousy, sexual jealousy, and various other factors had led them to commit crimes against others. But none of them in prison were in prison for having committed suicide. So we do not know the reason for suicide. But research worldwide has shown that emotional hijacking of the mind is what often leads to this drastic decision to end one's life. The emotional hijacking of the mind. That emotional hijacking can cause you to commit crimes against others, but it can also cause you to commit a crime against yourself, which is irrevocable. Suicide. And that is why many years ago, as a youngster, in my own struggle for resilience, and the struggle for excellence, and the struggle to not to quit life, but to come out a winner. As a young student, around your age, I began to search for a key to the human mind. And that key emerged in terms of a simple concept over a 14-year-long period of search. And that is known as equilibrium thinking or EQ thinking. Equilibrium thinking is based on two simple tools. The entire thought process of the world is boiled down or simplified to just two verbal tools, which are both similar and completely distinct. be at it and beat it. You continually employ these tools to strengthen yourself from within. Be at it is the positive thought process, and beat it is the negative thought process. What is negative? It's positive. So unlike positive thinking, which deals with only 20% of positivity, because 80% of the thoughts that come into our self-talk is basically a thought process, is negative. But mankind has not found a way to deal with negativity. And that when I ask psychologists, they say the reason is because the embedded negative gets triggered when you use a negative word. Suppose I ask you, do not think about a white polar bear. What is uppermost in your mind right now? So this is called the polar bear effect. And that is why psychologists say, do not use negative. You tell a person, do not commit suicide, his mind would tend to think of how to commit suicide. And in fact, movies like 13 Reasons Why on Netflix has an influence on the mind of especially the vulnerable and young. And therefore, there is a need for institutions like this and psychology departments particularly, not just on the World Health Day, but right through the year, to enable students to discover tools by which they can strengthen themselves from within. The concept of equilibrium thinking is that you be a psychologist to yourself. You be your own psychiatrist. Today you look at the world, you'll see the cinema theater has been done away with, and it is right inside your palm of your hand on your cell phone. Your post office is done away with and is right in your hand in sending your email. Your bank is done away with and is right in your hand in you're able to pay through Paytm or whatever method. So there is a need to deploy the means to strengthen the human mind right inside the palm of your hand. And that is what EQ thinking is about. Be at it, beat it. It is comprehensive, it is simple, it is effective. It has been taught to 1 million people through different media. The website itself has enabled one student to leverage himself. Basically, the strength comes from within you. It is an ATM, anytime motivation, anytime meditation. And the pin lies within you, your personally identified negatives. And you use the binary command, because the human mind works on a binary language. Unlike the machine which works on a binary language of 0-1, the human mind, psychologists have found out, works on a binary language of yes-no. It starts right from your uterine experience. When you're in the mother's womb, this thought process begins of yes and no. When you're tired, you want to sleep. Otherwise, when you are active, you want to kick, right when you're in the mother's womb. And therefore, this is a lifelong thought process which you can practice 24/7. And I practiced it over the last 2 decades or more. And I have taught it to thousands and thousands of people in different ways, both in seminars as well as in talks like this. And it has enabled people to overcome depression. It has enabled people to discover themselves at their best. It's like you use binary commands. If anger is an issue, be calm, beat anger. You continually repeat it as your self-talk. And it replaces the 80% negative self-talk in your minds, the chatter, the idle chatter that will kill you eventually. And it will strengthen you, not only your mind, but even your physical immunity. Because now there is a new interdisciplinary discipline called psychoneuroimmunology, which proves that the way you think improves your immunity. So not just in terms of achieving your success goals in life, your career goals, but your relational goals. And therefore, you need to always have an anchor principle like this, an anchor thought process, which will lend you both ability and stability. A human being needs both ability and stability to counter the varied challenges that we face in today's world on the personal front, on the interpersonal front, in the professional career. And just by walking in the street, you face so many issues. So instead of it allowing it to stress you, you use it to build resilience, to build creativity. Because it is the swirling of opposites in the mind, according to the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Niels Bohr, that leads to creativity. So this dialectic process, be at it, beat it, always working in the human mind, leads to creativity. It releases new ideas. It enables you to discover your strengths without ignoring your weaknesses. The reason why you need to focus also on weaknesses, you see, even recently, you find very successful people, financially very successful people, or who are successful in their careers, have taken their lives. And it makes people ponder, why did it happen? Why did the founder, CEO of the entire Cafe Day empire decide to take his own life? And why did psychologists, trained psychologists who have counseled successfully thousands of people take their lives? When I was the commissioner at Trichy, there was a very pleasant lady who was an MPhil in counseling. And she was very effective in counseling, but I was sad to learn a few years after I left Trichy that the woman took her own life. So even psychologists and psychiatrists, they cannot be a sponge absorbing the stress of their clients or patients. They need to have a way to constantly release. And that release comes through this be at it, beat it process. It's like equal to your breathing in is be at it. Breathing out is beat it. So be calm, beat stress. Be loving, beat hatred. It's always in terms of diametric opposites. Be strong, beat weakness. Be wise, beat folly. Be healthy, beat sickness. So a certain trainer accessed my website and he said he wanted to have a conversation with me over lunch. And I explained this simple process to him. And later in the evening he said he tested it with himself and his trainers and some clients. And he said it worked very effectively. And he said the reason was that I discovered the pugilistic beat it, which overcome the negative fallout of commands like don't do this, which we have been hearing all our lives from our parents. So here you set yourself a goal and it strengthens you. As I wrote the other day in what I've written about 3,500 Philippisms, my own quotes, which come also from this thought process, which makes me more creative. I said it is small troubles and disappointments that inoculate a person and build resilience in him or her. Small troubles and disappointments. Today parents are pampering children, and that is the wrong way to bring up children. There's a need to allow them to be exposed to small disappointments, to face hardship, and that will enable the person to develop himself, to develop and discover his own inner strengths, and to be able to face it when they come up against the wall. So our self-esteem needs to be built up. When our self-esteem is built up, you will have that confidence that I can do anything. Nothing is impossible for me. And here your faith quotient also plays a very important role. As I said, you need an anchor thought process, but you also need an anchor person in your life. For me, the anchor person is God Himself. Every day I spend an hour in prayer and meditation. My meditations are read in about 10 countries every day. And most of my writing, my body of work, every 100 days I write a book. It emerges from this writing. And even the quotes that come up suddenly during the day emerge from this meditative process. And Daniel Goleman in his book on emotional intelligence says that meditation does help to improve emotional intelligence. A Philippism that I wrote recently is that an emotionally intelligent person is an emolligent person. So I hope that this seminar would turn every one of you into an emolligent person. Thank you.